How's it going? It's Fox here again for sound design tutorials. This is the third and final part in this series of how we've been making a layered trance sound. In the first two episodes we covered how to make the high ends, which we used the Virus TI for, and the mid parts of the sound, which we used Native Instruments Massive. I'll show you those two parts now quick in case you didn't see the last two tutorials, and then I'll show you how we made this lower part with Sylenth 1. So this is what we did in the first one with the Virus TI. Quite a high-pitched super saw sound there with a bit of noise behind it to take care of the high-end part of the sound. What we did in the last episode, we used Massive. This mainly takes care of the mid parts of the sound. That section's a lot more beefy. We did a bit of detune on the unison to give it sort of a chorusy stereo effect. And this is what we're going to be going over today. This takes part of the lower end of the sound. It's going to be made with Sylenth 1. This MIDI clip that I made for this is 1 octave lower than the other two. So as I say, it's dealing with the sub-element of the sound. So I'll show you this sound on its own, and then I'll show you how I made it step by step. So this is it. There it is, a real rich saw sound. So we use both part A and part B, and we use 4 saw waves to get that sound. So I'll start by initting the preset, and I'll show you how I made it. So we use part A and part B, as I said. We use 4 saw waves, so each one we want to turn to a saw wave. Oscillator 1, turn this up to 4 voices. Keep the octave and the note exactly where it is. Keep the volume where it is and the phase where it is. Just push the detune up to about 1.7, 1.8. Push the stereo all the way around where it is to 10. Keep the pan dead center. Check the retrig button off. Okay, oscillator 2. We want to pull this one down 1 octave. -1. Keep the volume where it is, the phase where it is again. Push the detune up a little bit further on this one to about 2.8, 2.7. Keep the stereo where it is and the pan where it is. Keep this one checked to re-trigger itself, and push the voices up to 4 again. Okay, I'll show you the sound quick, just the 2 oscillators, nothing else. What we do need to do for this is just give it a little bit of decay on the sound. Push the decay up to about 3.7, just below half. Keep the sustain where it is. Push the release up to about 0.1, just to give it a little bit of release at the end of the notes. We use a low pass filter on part A. Push it up till you get the low pass filter showing. So input select is A. Push the cutoff round to about 607 Hz, keep the resonance where it is and the drive where it is, and keep it on 24 dB per octave low pass filter. Okay, that is it for part A for the minute. I'm going to do some modulation for the envelope, but I'll do that at the same time once we've set up part B. So we're going to part B, as I say, 2 saw waves again, change them both to a saw wave. This one wants 4 voices, oscillator B1. We use 4 voices for oscillator B2 as well, so push them up. Keep both of these on re-trigger. Invert this one just to give it a little bit of difference. Oscillator B2. Okay, so keep the volume where it is. Keep the octave where it is for this one. Push the phase up to about 90.86 degrees. And the detune up to about 1.38. Keep stereo where it is and pan as it is again. This one wants to go up 1 octave. Volume where it is, push the phase all the way around on this one to about 250 degrees, and the detune up to about 2. Keep the stereo where it is and pan where it is again. We'll set this envelope up for part B now. It's got a slightly snappier, a shorter decay than what we did for part A, just to give it a bit of variance in the sound. Keep the release on 0 where it is all the way down to nothing. Okay, this is also a low pass filter, same as the other one. Push the cutoff around to about 360 Hz this time, no drive, and change it to 12 decibels per octave low pass filter. It's a bit of more of a subtle curve on this one. Okay, that's it. I'll show you it now with the all 4 oscillators on, no effects, no modulation. Okay, we're going to modulate the cutoff of both filters for part A and B with an envelope. So we'll use mod envelope 1. Click on this box here and do it for cutoff A. They're going to be slightly different for each one, so we'll set one up for each one. So click cutoff A, push this one all the way around to the right. Keep this attack at 0, push the decay up to halfway. Keep the sustain where it is and give it a tiny bit of release, about 1.15 release for the envelope. So we're going to use this for cutoff B as well. It's just going to be a slightly different amount when we dial it round. So go ahead and select cutoff B. Push this one round to about quarter of the way, about 6.48. This envelope's obviously going to modulate the cutoff filter of both of them, but with them being slightly different amounts, it's going to help with the stereo field and make the sound a little bit wider. Okay, I'll show you it with that mod envelope on. Okay, we're getting there. I used LFO1 with a real slow rate just to give a bit of modulation for pitch A and B. So in this box, click it and then do pitch A and B. I did the rate round to about, I think it was quarter triplets that I did. So it's not overly fast. And just push the gain up ever so slightly, 0.10. That's all you need, just that tiny little bit of amount. And pull the offset back to about minus 3.52. This is going to modulate, this envelope is going to modulate the pitch, but because the gain is ever so slightly, you're only going to hear it at the end of the longer notes. Okay, that's it for the modulation then. We might as well go straight into the effects now. I use a bit of distortion, so go ahead and click distortion. Turn it on with this little box here. I use a fold back distortion for this. Pull the amount down to about quarter of the way up and pull the dry wet back to about 40%, 41%. Okay, I'll show you with the distortion on. Beefs up the sound there a little bit with the distortion. We use a little bit of chorus as well to make the sound even thicker because it's the lower part of the sound. We want it to feel quite a broad band of the spectrum. So go ahead and click the chorus on. Pull the chorus delay down to 0. We don't want anything for that, so don't worry about the rate or the depth. Dual mode, keep it checked. Push the feedback up to about 18%. What feedback does on a chorus is it sort of feeds it back into itself, so it lasts longer. Keep the width where it is and pull the dry wet back down to about 40%. We use a bit of EQing for the sound as well, so click that, turn it on. We'll push the bass up because we're dealing with the low ends of the sound as a whole. Push the bass frequency up to about 150 Hertz. Keep the treble and treble frequency where it is, don't bother doing anything with that. We use a tiny bit of reverb on this sound as well, so go ahead and click on the reverb, turn it on. Pull the pre-delay down to 0, we don't want any pre-delay at all. Push the dampen up to about 1.4 just to smear the sound a little bit. Push the reverb size round to about 8. keep the width where it is, and pull the dry wet back to about 18.5%. We don't want the reverb to be overpowering because it's quite a lowish sound. We just want it to tail off the higher aspects of it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the sound done now. So I'll play it through a few times on its own, and then I'll play it with the sound as a whole to show you all three elements together. Okay, so I'll play the Virus one, the Massive one, and then the Sylenth one. I'll bring them in alternately so you can hear the sound building up over time. One thing I didn't do, which I forgot to do, you need to turn the polyphony up on this to 16, which is going to make a big difference. I should have showed you that at the start, but I'll play it through again quick. Because we were using 4 voices per oscillator, you need the polyphony on 16 so you get the bonus out of all of them voices. Okay, so yeah, that's it. That is the sound done. This is how I would go about making a layered trance lead sound. I mean, in all honesty, I could have made all 3 of these layers within each synth, but I wanted to show you how you can mix different synths together to make a sound as a whole. So there it is. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you've enjoyed any of these free tutorials. There's plenty more on my site. As always, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, cheers. Thanks.